collectors and Masters of the Universe fans. Once again, it's the one and only Optibotimus coming at you with another video review. And on today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the new Masters of the Universe Origins Mekaneck and Ground Ripper. Or as most of us that grew up in the 80s that had this toy knew it as, the Road Ripper. But for whatever reason, Mattel couldn't call it the Road Ripper anymore, so hey, Ground Ripper. But one thing that's very interesting about this is that both of these particular pieces have seemed to create a little bit of, I don't necessarily want to say controversy. You either like it or you don't like it. And I'll get into that here in a bit. For the packaging though, absolutely gorgeous as usual. You have an awesome image of Mekaneck driving around in the Ground Ripper right there. You got Castle Grayskull in the back. So you can see, like, on the top section here, some of the terrain with, like, volcanoes and stuff, little baby volcanoes, I guess, and then little baby lizards. Come around to the side here, you got that kind of continuation of that ground area. When you come around to the side here, you can see a little bit more of a continuation, but with a kind of crack through the ground, which that's kind of cool. Come around to the back of the package, you can see you got a continuation of what we always get in terms of outstanding art, with Mekaneck kind of peering around some rocks with his neck. Obviously have gotten there because of the Ground Ripper or Road Ripper, whatever you want to call it. But also, you can see some teases here, such as you have King Hiss, Tongue Lashor, and then you can even see in the background here the Eternia playset, which did a crowdfunding thing, which I didn't get, honestly. I was really on the fence, and ultimately I decided not to, mostly because of just how big it is. Space is a premium for me, as it is for a lot of collectors. And I'm really, really disappointed that I didn't get that. But realistically, I don't know where I would be able to display it. So I did end up passing, which I do kind of regret, honestly. But you come around here to the bottom, you can see other figures that are coming out, including, obviously, the Road Ripper. You have Snake Armor He-Man, which I don't care too much about. Boltman. What? You have Cobra Khan and Ratlor, which those ones I'm really excited about. But then you also got a little bit of an image here that kind of shows the action features, although they're not really all that action-oriented. The original vintage figure had a twist body that Mekaneck's head would go up and down. This kind of takes a cue from more of the Masters of the Universe Classics line where you can swap out the head and have the extended neck. I don't mind that really all that much. We're kind of used to that. But you can also do something that's really cool is swap out the head of the Road Ripper so you can create different looks, which is cool. But what they did that a lot of people don't like is they did take out the action feature in the Ground Ripper or Road Ripper. That being it had a little pull thing that you would insert the kind of wire, I guess plastic kind of gear sort of thing that you would put in there, pull it, it would, and then you put it down, and then it would go flying.
Road Ripper never runs from evil. Road Ripper blows evil away! Way to go! Road Ripper!
Road Ripper vehicle is new from the Masters of the Universe collection. He-Man, Skeletor, and Panther figures each sold separately from Mattel.
They took that out, which does definitely have some people kind of upset because it doesn't have that action feature. Ultimately, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? You know, we'll see. We'll see. I'll make up my mind probably as I go along with this, because I really did like that action feature. Not so much on Mekaneck. Like I said, I'm kind of okay with them doing the way that they did it with the Classics line, but I really do feel like this could have had that extra little, like, pull feature in there. I don't know. We'll see. So that's it for the packaging. So without further ado, let's get these guys out here and see how cool they actually are. Alright guys, so here we have the Ground Ripper, Road Ripper, whatever you want to call it, and Mekaneck opened up and out of their packaging. And, you know, I'm actually pretty happy with this set. Granted, the action feature in both Mekaneck and the actual Road Ripper have been removed. But you know what? I still really like this set. Now, starting off first with the Road Ripper or Ground Ripper, first thing that I want to tell you, I messed up. Bad. This was attached inside the box, obviously, and this was behind the packaging thing like that. And as I was kind of detach it because you got these little twist things in here. I thought it was tied on, and I thought this was the rubber band tie, and I ended up cutting it, and I'm kind of bummed out, but I'm going to try gluing that on there because it's a fairly clean cut, so I should be able to super glue that back on. I'm not too terribly worried about it. And truthfully, he actually sits on here pretty decently, but one thing that I will say is that this does feel very light. Now, I honestly do not remember when I was a kid how heavy this was. I remember having this, but it's definitely not as heavy as I feel it, and this is certainly hollow. Does that bother me? Yes, a little bit, but not enough that I'm going to really dislike it. This set was about $30, which I think is pretty decent for the most part. As the figure runs about $15, this is going to be maybe another $15 or so, so it's not terrible, but I definitely do think it could be a little heavier. Detail-wise is fantastic. You can see a lot of molded in detail on here. You have a lot of sticker detail on here, which comes are those actually stickers? I think those are stickers. Those probably are stickers. But they come pre-applied, but they are applied well. Not to the point where it's going to make me really annoyed because they're crooked. Yeah, those are definitely stickers. But they're on there decently, which looks good. But you got a lot of them all the way around this, which is cool. Now, like I said, and you could see in that commercial that I posted where you would put the little kind of zip tie in there, you would pull it, and it would move. Does it bother me that it doesn't have that action feature in there? Yes, because I think that they still could have done it. I don't really know why they didn't. They had been putting action features in some of the other figures, so why not this? Or I should specifically say some of the other vehicles. Now, what they did to kind of replace that is gives you this alternate head. And honestly, I don't remember what that comes from, to be totally honest with you. But you can see that the sticker detail is fairly similar to the one that's on there. This is the head that the original one had. I'm wondering if this is like one that Skeletor would have used. I'm not entirely sure, to be totally honest. If you guys know, leave me a comment down there. Let me know. But you can see, like I said, a lot of those details look really good. Now, if you want to just swap it, that just pegs on there. You take that, and you will just snap that on there as well, which does create a different look on it. So, I do like that. Again, the thing that I have an issue with, kind of like with the Jet Sled, or Sky Sled, I think it's called, you got Prince Adam with that. If you wanted to kind of army build this and use this with other kind of vehicles and things like that, you have to get another Mekaneck figure. Not a big fan of that, to be totally honest with you, but still really nice. Like I said, I do wish it still had that action feature. It doesn't ruin the vehicle, in my opinion, but I think that they could have done it. And then, like I said, definitely hollow feeling, especially these tires. Those tires are definitely hollow, but you can see that it still rolls very nicely, like smooth as butter. I mean, that thing goes really good. So I don't mind that they didn't put the action feature in. It bugs me, don't get me wrong, but it still kind of displays very nicely. And then by getting this extra head, I think it kind of makes up for some of that, to a degree. I am bummed out about this, but this served as like a little belt section there. But like I said, he actually stays on there pretty decently. I always kind of thought, and like this is his weapon, I always thought this was kind of funny that a dude that can see very far, I felt always came with a telescope. That's kind of what that always looked like. You had this hole here at the bottom, and that's definitely the case here. It just, for some reason, that's how I always looked at it. Now, granted, I think it's meant to be a club, but and you can go like that with it, which is perfectly fine. I just kind of always thought it looked like a telescope, which I don't know if they did that deliberately or what, but that's actually kind of fun. I do like that. I like that they include that, and it kind of reminds me of how my childhood kind of was. So you do have that nice sculpted in detail around there, but definitely looks like a club, but also could be that. The figure itself is actually really very nice. I love the fact that they recreated kind of that chrome look with the way that they did his eyes. The original vintage toy had vac chrome on there. That definitely looks like it could be some type of vac chrome. I don't know if that's exactly what it is, but it does have a very chrome reflective kind of paint on there, which I absolutely love that. Super, super cool. Very funny kind of triangular sort of face, much like you would expect for Mekaneck. You have the armor suit section here, which I think Stinkor used that, if I remember right. You can detach this if you really wanted to. Come around here. It is definitely tricky to do, but this is also a softer material, which I do like. I don't know if I really want to pull that hard. I don't want to damage the rubber material. But I'm trying to look and see. Yeah, you can remove it. It's just on there really good. This is like I said, a more rubbery material that, as you can see, you can pull off. Now, in the vintage one, it was a very, you got to fully pull all that off. You got to kind of get all of that in there. But it was a harder plastic. So you can, if you wanted to, pop his head off. You can remove this, and you can see that basically it is just He-Man's body underneath here. It is painted blue. Now you got the bracers on there, you got the boots, but basically everything on here is He-Man with Stinkor's armor. Now, like I said, in the original one, there was an action feature in it. It was part of the Power Punch He-Man thing, and this is why I was worried about taking this off, because all right. The Power Punch He-Man had that twisting effect in there where you would twist his body and then the body would punch, or his arms would punch. Get that, there we go. With Mekaneck, though, you would twist the body and the head would extend. One part that always kind of sucked about that, though, is that, and you can see that you can squat them like the vintage figures, or you can make them a little bit taller. The problem with that sort of gimmick is that if you wanted to have his neck extended, you kind of couldn't, because it always kind of sprung back to the original shape, which sucked. I wasn't a big fan of that. So what they did here is much like what they did in the Classics line. So you have the head, and now you have an extension piece on here that I like how it actually comes down here and kind of covers this little lower area. So you just take this, pop that on there, and now that kind of looks like the extension of his neck, and then you take this, pop that on there, and now you have Mekaneck being necky, I guess, which that's cool. I love that. I think that's super fun. Get these feet to kind of hold them up there. I mean, that is really fun. I totally dig that. It is definitely a very characteristic trait for the character that I feel like they needed to do. I'm glad that they didn't do it with that gimmick in there, though, because it allows you to actually kind of display him with, why do I feel like his legs are a little bit off? There you go, kind of spread that out. But it allows you to kind of display him with that neck extended, which I think more often than not people are going to want to do, because that's how he looks. That's the cool look on him. I think it's fantastic. Absolutely love it. But you can pop that back off, detach this, put the regular head back on, boom, there you go. All the same articulation is there. Also, the swappable parts, you can detach the arms very easily. They just peg in there. The head, as you can see, the torso, you can rip him in half if you so desire, things like that. With the Road Ripper, you can take him, kind of stretch him out. It was, see, he does roll pretty good. You bring this down, sit that there. Easy. Now, granted, with the belt, it's going to be a little bit easier to kind of keep him in place, but you just sit him there, and it works pretty good. What's funny, though, is the rotor, and I always thought this was weird, but you can see he sits on there pretty decently. Like, you can actually kind of tighten the legs around there to kind of hold them on there. I'm going to try doing this. Hold on. Yeah, there we go. That's pretty decent. So, like I said, you don't necessarily need this, but I am going to have to fix it just because it's going to drive me nuts. But there's no steering wheel or anything on this, which I always thought that was kind of funny. Like, how do you control it? You just kind of like lean in turn or something? I don't know, but super cool, super fun. I really do dig it. I know a lot of people do complain about it, and it is worth kind of mentioning that they have taken some of the action features out of some of the figures. I'm okay with it when they're able to do things like this, though. So I get it. It is definitely disappointing, but I'm okay with it. Ultimately, I'll survive. I wonder if you can... No, that doesn't fit. But there you go, guys. There's my look at the new Masters of the Universe Origins Road Ripper, or Ground Ripper, whatever you want to call it, and Mekaneck. As always, if you'd like to add this figure to your collection, you can do so when you go to places like Big Bad Toy Store, Amazon, or even Entertainment Earth. For all of those places, I'll put links right down there in the video description. Show those guys some love, because those guys show me some love by helping to support the channel. And finally, guys, as always, remember that the real trouble with the world is that too many people grow up. Thank you all so much for tuning in and watching. And until next time, this is Optibotimus saying adios, au revoir, and auf Wiedersehen.